All right, guys, welcome to another live stream. Welcome to another live stream. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. All right, so in today's live stream, we're going to talk about how I saved up to my first 100K. How I saved up to my first 100K. Now, a lot of you are trying to save up to your first 10K, and that's even difficult, especially if you've never done it before. But I'm going to talk about how I saved up to 100K because I think at that point, investing got easy. And you also learn a lot from saving to 100K. You get a lot of discipline and so on and so forth. All right, so the first thing that you need to save up to 100K is you need a skill, right? Now, my skill at the time, I got to 100K right around when I was 25, 26. Currently, I'm 31. And my skill set at the time was my college degree. Now, I got my college degree when I was 21. Right now, I'm 31. And I could say at the time, a college degree was actually valuable. Not to say it's not valuable now. A lot of corporate jobs still require you to have a bachelor's degree, but I just think so many people have their degree now. It's so easy to come by. And when I say easy to come by, I mean like before you actually had to study for your test in college. I talk to a lot of the college kids now, and it's like, the teachers are curving the test. They're making it very easy. And I just think, getting a degree now, it's easier than it once was. All right, so that was my skill set at the time. I got a degree in finance, so I was able to get a job coming out of college. Now, even that was kind of tough, but the fact that I was able to get a job right out of college, helped out a lot. Now, at the time, I was making $36,000 a year, right? So right now, if you make $36,000 a year, you're probably considered, I wouldn't say poor, but you're darn close, right? So the thing is, you need a skill, right? And that was my skill. I was able to get out of high school, get a college degree that I would be able to use to get a job, and basically use that to make money. Now, for you, it may not be college. It may be a trade. Or it may be a 4-course trade that you get: plumbing, electric, haircut, whatever it is. But you need to develop a skill. Getting a skill is very important. It's going to be hard to save up to 100K working at McDonald's or working at a retail store, making $7 an hour. And a lot of you opt not to go to college, and that's fine, but you need to make sure you get a skill, and you need to make sure that that skill pays, because it's not just good enough to get a skill if it doesn't really pay that well. So that's the first thing you need to save up to 100K. You need a skill set that's going to get you a decent amount of money. All right, number two is you need to minimize expenses early on. Now, the fact that I got my college degree early and I was able to get a good job, I was able to actually, I stood with my grandparents. So I was 21. I didn't say, oh, well, now I got this money, I got a degree, I'm going to move out and get my own place or buy a home. No, that's not what I was thinking. I said, okay, now I'm making money. I still had college debt. So I had to really think about it. I say, do I really want to move out now, incur this new expense of rent, and potentially if I would have bought a home, it would have been a lot more expensive because you got to put a down payment and stuff like that. Do I really want to do this so early on? Because you got to remember, I got getting my bachelor's degree at 21. That's pretty early. So I didn't want to do that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stay with my grandparents, and that saved me a lot of money. Right, that minimized my expenses because I was giving them some money, but I wasn't paying like I would if I had my own place. A lot of you want to move out very quickly, and there's some benefits to moving out pretty quickly, but I think you should minimize expenses, and rent is the biggest expense for most people. Rent is right now, I'm paying over $2,000 for rent, but at the time it was probably like $1,200, $1,300. But 10 years ago, that was a lot of money for rent. So you need to minimize expenses. And maybe it doesn't always necessarily mean staying with a family member, but maybe you roommate with somebody else. Maybe you say, okay, maybe I do quote unquote get my own place, but then I have a roommate and maybe you get a 2 bedroom and stuff like that. So now you're paying half of that rent. So basically, what that allows you to do is allows you to put a lot of money away. I think my paycheck every 2 weeks was, I think at the time for $36,000 a year, I think it was like $1,600 every 2 weeks. So I was able to put at least $1,200 to $1,500 a month away. So that was around like $13,000, $15,000. So that was good. Now, obviously, I had college debt, so I still had to pay that off. So I was focused on paying that off as well. So literally, when my paycheck came in, it was literally like $1,200 to $1,500 to savings and $1,000 to my student loans. I didn't have too much student loans because I did get scholarships, but I think it came out to like $18,000 that I had at the end of college, and I was able to pay that off like a year and a half because I was sending $1,000 each month or a little bit more than that. So yeah, but basically minimizing your expenses is a key thing, and I think starting with rent would be the number one thing, because if you can minimize that, you could put away a lot of your paycheck. Now, obviously, other expenses as well. You just got out of college. Most people want to travel. I did not travel when I got out of college. I did do like a quick little vacation, but I didn't really go like overseas like Europe, Greece, and things like that. Most places people go to. And I saved a lot on that because there was a lot of people that graduated college at the time, and they were just so tired from getting their degree and going to school and taking tests and things like that, that they said, oh, I need a break and I need to go spend money, essentially. Go on a vacation, go to Europe and spend all this money. And what that does, one, you're taking a break because you're not working. Sometimes people do it for like 2 to 3 months at a time. They go backpacking and so on and so forth. So you're not making any money. And then two, you're spending money. So yeah, I would avoid any huge vacation in the beginning, especially after college. I know it's going to be hard because you're like, oh, I did all this work. I got this degree. I spent 4 years getting this degree. I want to go travel. And I did not do that, and that helped me get to my 100K. So I was able to put away like $1,200 to $1,500 a month, staying with my grandparents, and that helped out big time. So the second thing you want to do is minimize expenses. All right. 3, not holding on to the money. Now, I didn't save 100K in my bank account. All right, not like it wasn't at one point I looked at my bank and I had 100K in the bank. What I did was I would save up to like $10,000 to $15,000, and I would deploy that money into crypto. But and that's all I would invest in at the time. So this was like around 25, right? Or no, like 24, or maybe like 23, 24, but it was throughout. So it was like basically, because I got to that 100K to around that 25 to 26 mark, 25 to 26 years old mark. So I was deploying it out, when I was 21, right? So throughout that time period, investing into, crypto and things like that. So I wouldn't hold on to the money. I think that's the third thing you need to do. I don't think it should be a point where you're like, oh, I have 100K in the bank. I think once you get to like a certain amount, like let's just say 15 to 20,000, you should take that money and invest it in a quality asset. Now, this asset needs to be quality because in order to save up to 100K, you got to retain that money. Now, obviously, these assets would fluctuate in price. In my situation, it fluctuated up because crypto was just doing pretty good at the time, and it's still doing pretty good. So you need to make sure you have conviction in what you're investing in, because the last thing you want to do is take the money that you're saving and lose it. So maybe it's not crypto for you, maybe it's real estate, or maybe you do put it in a high yield savings, so at least you're getting some type of interest. But for me, I found it easy to not hold on to the money and put it in an asset like crypto, because I think when people see a lot of money in the bank account, it's hard for them to not touch it. And if it's not tucked away in an account that doesn't have like a debit card associated to it or whatnot, it's going to be hard to not touch it, especially in your younger years. And the fact that you just got out of your college or you just finished doing your trade, you're going to want to dip into that money, especially if you have friends like influencing you to go here, go there, spend this. You don't want to be tempted to spend that money. So I wouldn't be holding on to that money. Like when I got to age 25, 26, I was able to go to my Coinbase transactions and my bank account, because I would send my money from my bank to Coinbase, and I would see, I saw that when I added all the money I sent, it was like over 100,000. It was, I think, yeah, it was well over 100,000. I think it was like 110. It came out to like 110, 120. So yeah, I sent that money over to Coinbase and I just invested in crypto. Right now, obviously, money appreciated from there, but yeah, that's the third thing. I would not hold on to the money. And if you do hold on to the money, try to make it hard to get access to it. Either put it in a bank account where you don't have a debit card associated to it, so you're not tempted to spend. And make sure you actually have to go into the bank to actually take out the money. You just make it very difficult for you to get to that money. All right. Number four. Number four was additional streams of income. Now, this is very important. Now, I told you guys I got my degree when I was 21, and then I worked at PwC, and I was making $36,000 a year. So for those of you who don't know what PwC is one of the top four accounting firms. So you have PwC, Deloitte, EY, and KPMG. And if you haven't seen my day in a life as an auditor video, go check that out. Go check that out. But yeah, so I worked there, and I was making $36,000 a year. But I said, okay, and once I got used to the job, which didn't really take me that long to get used to the job, it took me like 6 months to a year. Once I got used to the job, I said, okay, well, I can handle this. Maybe let me add some type of additional stream of income. Now, I don't think at the time Uber was very popular. If not, I probably would have did Uber. But what I did was I applied to this retail glasses store at at VisionWorks. Basically, I worked at VisionWorks, for those of you who don't know. So I worked at VisionWorks, and on the weekends. So I would work my full-time job from Monday through Friday, and I would work VisionWorks Saturday and Sunday. And sometimes maybe if I got off work early on Friday, I would go work VisionWorks on Friday. But mostly it was Saturday and Sunday, and I would work all day, or at least like a 6 to 8 hour shift. And what was good about that job, I was getting paid hourly, but then also I got commission. So for the glasses that you sold, you would get commission. It wasn't a huge commission, but it was pretty decent. Like I would say I would get like 10 to 15 bucks on the glasses that I sold. And I would sell a lot of glasses. I mean, like at least, 10 to 20 pairs a day. So it was an extra $100 something depending on what you sold. And if people got like an expensive brand, it would be a lot more money. So that's what I did. I didn't need to, and this is very important, right? Because most of you that graduate from college would say, oh, well, I'm already making $36,000 a year. At the time, this was really good money. But even now, right? So if I had to equate the $36,000 to today's money, it would probably be like a $60,000 to $70,000 paying job. Most of you getting paid $60,000 to $70,000 now wouldn't think about taking a part-time job on Saturday and Sunday. You would say, "Oh, I'm too tired," and so on and so forth. So, yeah, that's what I did. I would say, "Okay, I want to make more money because what I was making was good, but I was like, I need to just get more money into investing and stuff like that." So that would bring me an additional $10,000, $10 to $15,000 a year. I would say over 10, probably like $12,000 a year. So in 4 years, that was and I didn't spend any of my VisionWorks money. I did not spend any of my VisionWorks money. So that was in 4 years, putting that 12 grand away. That was 44,000 just from that. And I was putting like 12 to 1500 from my regular job. So between my regular job and my part-time job on the weekend, in 4 years, I was close to like 90 to 100,000. Now, the rest of the 100,000 was just like little stuff. Like, for instance, I would not spend my tax refund check, especially even through college. I would get huge tax. Like when I graduated college, I had about $15,000 to $20,000 in the bank because I would get grants in student funding to go to school. So I had money saved up from that, and I didn't use it to pay my student loans right away since it had a small amount of interest. I actually invested all of that money right away. And then I was like, all right, well, let me just go pay the student loan off quickly with the new job that I got from college. So, and most of you are like, oh, well, why didn't you just pay your student loan off? At the time, I understood that the crypto opportunity was a lot more lucrative, so that money in crypto would have made me a lot more. So I invested that money very quickly. So yeah, but a lot of you need extra streams of income. And I was tired. I did not want to go to work on the weekend after doing audit during the week. But you got to make a sacrifice. At the end of the day, if you want to save up to 100K, you got to make some sacrifice. A lot of you don't want to make sacrifice. You don't want to wake up early. You don't want to work the weekend. You don't want to put in overtime. You got to do something. You got to sacrifice in order to save up to 100K. And I would say even now it's harder to do it because of social media. You're just influenced. It's hard to just pay attention. Your attention span is just so short that you want to just do stuff on the weekend and you don't want to do anything else. So that was number 4. Number 4 was additional streams of income, and that was kind of how I saved up to my 100K. It was those 4 things that got me to 100K. One, you need a skill. Mine was getting a college degree early. Again, like I said, back when I was 21, which was 10 years ago, a college degree was actually valuable. And not to say that a college degree is not valuable now, but it was just a lot more lucrative back then. 2, I minimized expenses. I stayed with my grandparents right out of college, even in college. So that was actually another thing too. I stayed with my grandparents in college. So I stayed with them like 3-4 years after college, but I was staying with them in college. And I was working part-time. Actually, I was working close to full-time in college. So that's another thing too. A lot of you could be working during college. I see a lot of kids that, I can't with the studies and stuff like that. And if your parents got the money to do it, that's fine. But I'm talking about people that want to save up to 100K. If you want to save up to 100K, you most likely need to work during college. So that's also how I had that 15 to 18,000 at the end of college, because I was working part-time and then I was getting grants and stuff from the college, USF, that I went to. So I minimized expenses. I stayed at my grandparents. I worked, the additional job. That was an additional one. 3, I didn't hold on to the money. I invested it. So as soon as I got to like 10 to 15,000, I'm like, all right, I'm going to deploy this money. I'm not going to sit with it. If you guys sit with the 100K or 30 to 40K in your bank as you're trying to get to 100K, most likely a lot of you will say, I'm going to go on this trip. You spend 10, 15,000 going to Europe, and then, your money just starts to decrease and you got to start all over again. So don't hold on to the money. Try to put it in an asset that's going to at least grow or at least maintain itself. 4, additional streams of income. Don't be lazy. Try to get a part-time job. Drive Uber. I think Uber is accessible to most people. pick up Uber on Saturday and Sunday if you're having trouble saving money, and don't touch that money. Like if I'm going to work a part-time job, if I'm going to suffer and work a part-time job, I'm not going to touch that money. I'm going to put that money directly in investments or directly into savings. That money is not to be spent. So that was another thing. And again, the whole time frame was basically from 21 to 25 or 21 to 26. Let's just say that. I probably got it when I was 25, but let's just say 26. So it's going to take you about 5 years to save up to that 100K if you do that. And that's assuming you save 10 grand, 10 to 15 grand from your regular job each year, and then another 10 to maybe 10 to 15 grand from a part-time job that you work on the weekend. And most likely, like, or you should be focusing on part-time jobs that have commission, and then also hourly. So you're getting that hourly check, and then depending on how good you do, you get commission. Sales, essentially, I was in sales. So sales, you develop a good personality. You're able to talk to people and things like that. And then also you make a lot more money, and then you get your base paycheck. So that's how you're able to put that. So on average, I was putting away $20,000 to $25,000 a year, and it took about 5 years to get to 100K, which I don't think that's that long. I think if you just work and you save, and it's going to be easier as you do it. I think after the first year, it's going to get a lot easier. As you see that your stockpile is adding up, you're going to say, oh, wow, like I got to 20 grand, let me keep going. And then once you get to like 40, 50, you're just going to keep going and get to 100K. At least that was for me. I think your mindset changes when you start to get to those levels, and you say, okay, I don't want to mess this up. Let me keep going until I get to 100K. And then when you get to 100K, that's when you start looking for things to invest in so you can multiply that 100K and grow that even further. But yeah, that is how I saved my first 100K. I hope you guys can use this to get to your first 100K and beyond. But that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.